Welcome back to the Life with All Dogs podcast. Today, I want to talk about something that has come up over the decade and a half plus now that I've been running Woody's Place Senior German Shepherd Sanctuary. And I know it's come up for some of you too. That is, have you ever had someone come up to you and tell you you should have your old dog put down? Put put your dog out of its misery. You're keeping that dog alive too long. It should have been put down by now. You're keeping it for selfish reasons or your own emotional need. Basically, put the dog down. And the irony is, of course, it could be someone you know, but I have found it's typically someone I don't know throwing in their 2 cents. So I want to talk about that today. Now, first, I want to talk about why someone may feel the need to make a comment like that, especially to a perfect stranger. It's a little different when it's someone you know, but especially to a perfect stranger, which has happened to me. And again, I'd be willing to wager it has happened to some of you as well. We live in a society that often equates aging with suffering, right? A lot of people look at aging as a disease, and it's not. I mean, we're all getting older every single day, as a matter of fact, and so are our dogs. But aging itself is not a disease. And furthermore, there's a lot of people out there who have never cared for a senior dog, let alone a geriatric dog or a dog with mobility issues, so they don't really know what they're looking at. They see the frosty face, they may see the cloudy eyes, they may see the stiff back end, they may see the dog in diapers, they may see the dog in a canine wheelchair. But what they don't see is the dog enjoying rides, loving every meal, still being able to get up on the sofa to cuddle with its person, taking short, frequent walks, loving safaris, loving to go get a puppuccino. They still have quality of life, is my point. And I have to say, social media makes it so much worse. This has happened to me quite a bit through Woody's Place Senior German Shepherd Sanctuary, where people may see a 40-second video clip of Lil was the last resident that I had here. She was 17 years old. For those of you who remember Lil, she developed a mass on the side, her side. We called her side boob Lil. We even got her special shirts and a little bra for her side. It was a fatty tumor at first. It was totally benign, but then it morphed into cancer. So we were religious about taking her to the vet once a month, having it monitored. They test the elasticity of her skin, making sure she was still comfortable. But this mass just kept growing. And eventually we had to have her put down. We had to say goodbye because of this mass. Well, I can't tell you how many times I received comments about Lil and her quality of life and how cruel I was for keeping her alive. And I was just trying to make money off of her and all these horrible, ridiculous comments. The fact of the matter is, it couldn't have hurt her too bad because she would lay on it. She would actually put weight on it. It didn't seem to bother her too much until it did. And when it did is when we said goodbye to her. But people want to see what they want to see, and social media can be a really nasty place. Other times people make comments because they're genuinely concerned. They truly care. They have had experience with older dogs that were in pain, or they had cancer, they were suffering. Some people truly cannot watch an older dog or what they think is suffering without even knowing the whole backstory. For some other folks, older dogs remind them of their own mortality, and they're not comfortable with that. For some folks, it's guilt. It's guilt, it's grief, it's regret because perhaps they let their dog suffer too long before making the decision to say goodbye. And then for some people, it's just flat out nasty judgment. There's no shortage of that. And then, of course, let's not forget that there are those who think they know so much more about your dog than you do and your veterinarian team. We actually have a team of veterinarians for Woody's Place. So Lil had been seen by 3 different vets in a 4-month time span, and we were all on the same page. But of course, there were people who didn't know Lil and didn't know the whole situation and had to make their comments because they thought they knew better. And getting back to social media has created a culture where everyone feels qualified to offer an opinion. Now let's talk about how these comments, let me rephrase that. Let's talk about how these unsolicited comments, because they usually are, make you feel. You, the caregiver, you, the one who is doing your best for your beloved older dogs. And oftentimes you are sacrificing your time, your sleep, your money, your emotional energy, your physical energy. You're doing everything you possibly can, and you're struggling sometimes and at the end with the decision of when is it time. These comments can be deeply painful. You're there trying to do everything you can to give your dog dignity and comfort, and then you're kind of dodging these unsolicited remarks about putting your dog down. For me, in the past, these comments they've triggered self-doubt, the questioning, am I doing the right thing? Am I being selfish? Am I missing something? And let me just point this out. If you do those things like I do, interestingly enough, people asking those questions are often the very people who care the most. And fortunately for me, I have such a wonderful medical team for the Woody's Place dogs and for my personal dog Sasha and all the cats here at the sanctuary, and even my farm animals. I've talked about them so many times. Carbondale Veterinary Hospital, they're companion vets as well as farm vets. And I feel like I feel so comfortable with them now that I know no question is ridiculous to them. If I have a question or concern, which I do often, I can call and I can ask and I can speak with someone, and they never make me feel like, over the top or ridiculous. So when I start doubting myself, I have a little punch list. In fact, I've done a blog post on when is it time to say goodbye to your dog prior to this podcast. And I'll be sure to include a link to that so you can read through that. But I have like this little punch list, even the senior dog journal that I created a while ago. You can keep track of things in there. But basically, I keep a very close eye on the quality of life for that particular dog. For instance, let's talk about Sashi. I have Sashi right now. She's 12 years old. She sustained a back injury about 3 years ago, which rendered her completely incontinent. There's no curing this back injury for her. She had all the diagnostic imaging and testing done. It would have been thousands of dollars for surgery with a 5% success rate. So the answer is no. She's not getting that surgery. She's going to be wearing diapers for the rest of her life. It is a lot of work. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I do loads of wash every week. I wash her back end 5, 6, 7 times a day. I change her diaper about 12 times a day. It's a lot of work. It's a whole lot of work. But is she eating? 100%. She has a ravenous appetite. That dog does not miss a meal or a piece of cheese. Does she love to go out? Every single time I open the door to go out, she is running down the ramp to go out as well. She'll run up and down the fence line, barking at the chickens, goats, and ducks. She loves to go for a ride. She never misses a ride. She's not too crazy about toys, but not every dog is. For those of you who are still wondering, I'm still recording in the RV, and Mikey here, yeah, he just had to get in that shot. So she loves sniffing outside. She loves digging holes. I mean, that's a big one for Sashi. She is a hole digger. And, on 17 acres, I don't care if she digs holes in some spots. She can dig away. It's all good. Is she on pain medication? Yeah, absolutely. She has to be for her back. She is on carprofen and gabapentin. I also use CBD oil for her as well. She gets red light therapy. I have big Barker dog beds for her and the other residents. They're really, really thick orthopedic dog beds. She has a giant heating pad on her dog bed. So I treat her for the symptoms she has. But some people will look at her and think, oh, there's an old dog. There's an old German Shepherd in diapers, and that person is just keeping her alive for their own personal reasons. When that's not true at all. The big question is, do they have more good days than bad days? That's the guideline I go by. Do they have more good days than bad days? And Sashi, pretty much all of her days are good days, except for when she's walking around with a big poop in her diaper. Other than that, she's good. Actually, she doesn't even care about that. I do. To me, that's what quality of life for older dogs mean. Is it always picture perfect? No, it's not. But is it always picture perfect for us when we get older? No, but that doesn't mean that we don't have quality of life. And I'd like to talk about a wheelchair for an older dog. Now, I've had several now here at Woody's place with degenerative myelopathy, and they were in a wheelchair. The longest I had a resident in a wheelchair was about 18 months, but that's a long time for an older dog with degenerative myelopathy. And if you remember Chop, he was the most recent resident in a canine wheelchair. If you go back and you look at videos of him on social media, you will see that dog whipping all over the place. In fact, he would go so fast. I've had a couple like this now. He would go so fast if he took a corner too fast, he would fall over in his canine wheelchair, and he would just like kind of lay there waiting for me or someone else to come and pick him up. And as soon as we would right him again, poof, off he would go. But people see that mobility device and immediately think, older dog, canine wheelchair, that's ridiculous. That dog needs to be put down. And I like to say to people like that, okay, well, what happens to you if you're in a car accident and you need to be in a wheelchair for a little while? Does that mean you need to be put down? No, of course not. Of course not. Now, in the end, yes, Chop needed to be put down, but he did not need to be put down right then. He had quality of life. Now, I've been doing this so long now, and I've been presented with comments and remarks so often, but I'm assuming for you, if you've been in this situation, it's probably only happened once or twice, or maybe even just once, and maybe you'll have a knee-jerk reaction about this. But the shorter answer here is you don't owe anyone an explanation, whether it be in Tractor Supply or Home Depot or on social media or even in your own home if someone comes to visit you and says something along those lines. Okay, so remember that. You don't owe critics your emotional energy, but I look at it as a good opportunity to educate people. Now remember, the know-it-alls, there's not going to be any educating them, but there are people who are genuinely ignorant to the fact that the dog still has quality of life. And they're the ones I like to try to plant a little seed in their head and give them food for thought. But not because I feel obligated. It's always because I want to. So here is a respectful response that that I may employ in a situation like that. I come right out and I say who the dog is. I say who I am. I say what I do for a living. And I go on to tell them that this is what's going on with the dog and that the dog is under the watchful eye of our veterinary medical team, and that it's not time to say goodbye yet, that the dog still has plenty of quality of life. And then I go on to say what the dog does to highlight the quality of life that they have, and that I base my decision on when is it time to say goodbye, when they have more bad days than good days, not their age. So you could say something like that, or you could keep it even shorter, or you can tell them to go pound sand. You can tell them whatever you want, but I choose to educate people. And I have found that by employing that approach, it strikes up a conversation. And I'll tell you what, oftentimes people genuinely don't know. They genuinely don't know. They just see what they see and that's it. But then when you start talking with them and having a conversation, it kind of softens their opinion, at least to my face. And I feel better about it. And hopefully they do too. So if you've been in this situation, if you have an older dog and you're just not sure when it's time to say goodbye, again, I'm going to include that blog post for you to see how I go about determining when it's time. But keep these things in mind. Every dog deserves dignity, regardless of their age. Every dog deserves comfort, regardless of their age. Every dog deserves to be evaluated as an individual by your veterinarian. Old age is not a disease for any of us or our four-legged fur friends. Gray hair is not suffering, and slowing down is not failure. And perhaps most importantly, the people who know their old dog best are usually the people loving and caring for them every single second of the day. And one day, if we're lucky, every dog will get a chance to grow old. My hope is that we learn to celebrate those years, support those years, and honor those years, and not fear those years. So I hope that helps you. And more so, I hope you're never questioned or accused of keeping your dog alive for too long or why you didn't put your old dog down sooner. That is up to you and your veterinarian. All right, folks, until next time, be well.